It is Hotline League episode 178, everybody. Mark and I are so awake right now. We are jamming. Actually, thank God the show's sponsored by Gamefield because we're going to be drinking that to stay awake during the show. But no, it's been an exciting week in the LCS with some drama, some intrigue, some mystery, all sorts of stuff. And we have this week Ryoma, who's looking a little blurry right now. His camera is having a hard time focusing him because everything in his room is so white that it does not know where to find focus.
But I don't know how to fix this. Sorry. Maybe it's fixed.
You're working on it, I think. While he works on that, let me go ahead and introduce my constant co-host, Mark Zimmerman. How's it going, Mark?
Good. Nothing happened of note this weekend. No one talked about anything interesting. I don't think there was no drama.
There's just a lot of negativity these days. There were two Reddit threads about the LCS broadcast, right?
Yes, there were.
Okay.
One of them.
Well, we could talk about it. We'll talk about it.
Okay.
But this is the banter part beforehand, before we get into the stuff that you and I are
part where we're having fun.
Yeah. This is the only part where you and I get to just be happy. So tell me, give me a happy thing that happened for you this week, Mark. Okay. Nothing.
McCaster Academy on Wednesday. That was fun.
Oh, yeah? How was that?
It was good. I got a good look at NA Diana before it showed up on the LCS stage, so I got a little sneak peek watching some people pop off with that.
Nice. You're getting some invest. Are you going to do more casting of Academy?
Should be doing it again this weekend on Wednesday as well.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad to hear your wonderful voice.
Yeah, let's go. Let's keep going. Just keep going.
I just got in from out of town. I was catching up on the games because I missed yesterday. I was doing some Father's Day stuff with the family. But want to give a shout out to Alienware and Gamefield before we get into the show for sponsoring it. We'll talk more about them later. Ryoma is here though. Ryoma, welcome to the show. First time you've ever been on. And by the way, I think you more than anybody has brought just a crew of people to our chat. Like I see, obviously Papa Smithy here, but Spawn also here. I saw Contracts earlier, Fudge, just a whole slew of people. Why are you so popular within the LCS scene? What is so popular about you?
Popular?
Yes.
I got some good friends. That's all.
What have you done to convince all these people to be your pal?
Not much, honestly. Not much. No, I mean, they're just all close friends. I think majority of them are pretty close. I talk to them pretty often, I guess.
I'm trying to think of how many.
Deep.
I was trying to think of how many Oceania people we've had on the show. Oceanic people we've had on the show this year, and I feel like we've had a ton. You are one more. I guess this is the new world that we all live in here in the LCS.
NA people? We've had a lot of NA people on.
NA people, but I was talking about Oceanic, and I guess
they are. They're
yes,
NA.
Yes, very good. Well, how's life going for you, Ryoma? Because I know obviously people, when you're in the LCS, people do a lot of interviews. You're just getting a lot more attention. You're on the broadcast, but since you've been chilling in Academy, how's life going?
It's actually going pretty good. I think we're sitting up first place with a couple of points, I'd say. But it's actually pretty good. I think it's kind of clear that we're one of the top teams. We're probably gonna contest. I think by the end of it, I think we're gonna be like playing in the finals and stuff. I think we improved a lot, just like team-wise. I think I have a lot of young people on my team, and it feels really weird because I feel like I'm still pretty young. But it's really nice to, I guess, help my team, and by the end of it, hopefully come out on top.
How old are you, and how old are the rest of the folks on your team?
I'm 21 right now, turning 22 in a couple of days, actually. 25th
happy birthday.
of this month. Yeah, very soon. And I think the youngest person is Tenacity. I think he's born in 2002. I could be wrong, but 2002.
So that makes him
very young.
18,
2003. Okay.
Because we still have some young folks in Academy and even below that in amateur. So I never know. But either way, what is it? What are kind of the differences? Because I know you've played an LCS a couple times now. Obviously, you've played an academy a couple times. So like, is the vibe just way different between the two? I don't know if one feels like less stressful. I don't know if one feels, I don't know, more epic. I don't know, or maybe it all feels very similar.
I would say it's not very similar. I think LCS is definitely more. I guess like the games aren't as loose, if that makes sense. I think maybe this year. I mean, maybe this year I think it's been like I think the stage games have been pretty wild. Not gonna lie, I think there's been a lot of action in most stage games, but in academy especially, I think there's just a lot of fighting. I think everyone just fights for everything. There's like no one really wants to give, I guess. Everyone just wants to kind of fight, and I think that's like well we thrive that I guess as an academy team. I guess that's like the biggest difference that I've seen. Just like more hand battling than actual team play.
I like hand battling. I've heard like someone has better hands, but I haven't
Yeah.
heard quite the active like our hands are battling right now.
Is that an Oceania term or is that a academy term? Well, I've never heard it either. I've heard the hands thing, but I haven't heard
guess-
hand battling.
Kind of a nose thing, but you know, O's is. So I guess is yeah, pretty much just hand battling and O's as well.
I feel like
oh, go
the
ahead,
O's
Mark.
region gets a lot of memes ripped off from the rest of the world.
It's especially whenever they're all coming in to compete in the LCS and in our academy system. What somebody in the chat says, ask him about the star meme. What is that? So they put a star emote, and other people are spamming it. What is it?
That one is Dom's one. He gives me a gold star if I play well.
Nice. What actually? Okay.
Wait, maybe I'm misremembering, but did maybe Papa Smithy can correct me? Did Papa Smithy not say it once before as well? Like he oh yeah, I give Tommy a gold star or something. Maybe I'm totally crazy.
Or is he joking about it from the
I think he
Dom
might
stuff?
have, but I can't remember.
Because somebody says it's from the heist. Oh, Papa Smithy, it was on the heist from Zix for warding or something. And then everybody's spamming in chat as if it's like a widely known thing, but then Ryoma and Papa Smithy are like, yeah, I think that's like a thing. I don't know. So, I don't know.
So Dom didn't come up with it. He stole it from something at 100 Thieves, and then it's been his, like, Tommy gets a gold star or whatever.
Okay. Spawn says it's a widely known thing. Okay. Well, regardless, I appreciate it. How have you been dealing? Because I remember I did an interview with you in, I think, February of last year. It was one of the few interviews that I got to do before everything went remote. And I talked to you and I asked you, like, hey, what has it been like for you? Because your initial entrance into the LCS, people were just like, oh my God, Ryoma, they're bringing over this oceanic mid laner, blah. And you took a lot of heat. And then since then, I feel like, you know, there are moments where you clearly have a lot of support from a lot of people in the industry because they're all in the chat right now, all talking about how handsome you are and how great you are. But then you also have a lot of critics. So you were no longer the fresh face, I guess, to the LCS. You're a veteran of all these like internet wars for the past 18 months about you. So how have you been dealing with it? Are you at a good place now? Do you just kind of accept it? I don't know. Like how do you handle, you know, people both now very strongly supporting you and also very strongly critiquing you?
Hey, I kind of got used to it, I guess. You know, you just it happens. Like I can understand why, I guess, and I'd say I'm in a pretty good spot. I think there's a lot of people who I can talk to, I guess, if it's like too much. I get like pretty much that's about it. I just talk to people who can kind of support me, even if it's a rough time for me. I feel like that was pretty important. Whereas I think last year was definitely a bit harder. Just coming here, not many friends, and then taking on that heat was pretty rough. But I think it's gotten a lot better now.
Yeah,
I got to meet a lot of people, and it's been better.
that's good. I mean, we were just talking a little bit before this. I saw you recently at one of the very first party I've been to in like the past year and a half, or maybe I shouldn't say party, get together. And you were there hanging out, and it was just kind of cool to see. Clearly, you have a lot of friends in the space, and so it's been neat to see you really get comfortable, I think, with the LCS world and everybody that's here. So
I feel
either
bad.
way.
I pulled a caller called Skillshot Master 420. Basically asked the same question you just asked Travis, but he typed it in all caps, and I'm gonna remove him from the waiting room. But he said, "Yo, Big Tommy, what up, blood? My question
You
to
can
you
leave
is,
it
what do you-"
there. You can leave him there because maybe he'll rephrase it in a different way. But this is what happens whenever you pull people so early. Okay.
What happens when you steal people's questions for our guests?
I didn't know that we're just having a general chat. It's a fair question. Okay, so everything that has happened in the past week. So I'll start with my drama. So I reported that the LCS team owners voted to make the academy requirements not mandatory. Since then, Commissioner Greeley has been saying there was no vote. I use the word vote, by the way, because it was a word that one of my sources had said Greeley used in a meeting with team staff. So maybe he was paraphrasing Greeley, or maybe I was, whatever. I still stand by the story that a majority of LCS team owners are in favor of removing the academy requirement. So we can talk about that if we want. And then, Mark, you've also had some... You were kind of battling on behalf, I feel like, of the broadcast on Reddit and on Twitter this week. I don't know if you want to talk about any of that, but I figure maybe somebody wants to call in and talk about the production stuff, because we already sometimes field those.
Is it better just to do it now, or should I actually wait for a caller? Because
Well, I don't know. But I don't know if you have any general thoughts on anything that you saw during that time.
I mean, like, some of the stuff is pretty understandable. Like, there's long time between games. We don't like that. And it's like, well, neither do we. I think there's a big misconception that's like, yeah, analyst desk wants to talk more, so fuck getting into game. And it's like, no, anytime it's not 17 minutes from end of, like I said, the ideal time is 17 minutes. That's what we shoot for. Anytime it goes
it used
longer,
to be shorter, I think, by the way.
No, it didn't. From Nexus Explosion till game start, it was 17 has always been the goal.
Okay.
Now, it's gotten longer probably is what has happened, not that it used to be shorter. I think what's happened is that there's more protocols and stuff, and there's more delays and things. I'm
going to look it up, because I swear to God it used to be shorter.
All right, let's do it together. I'm going to go look up a random 2014 LCS summer VOD.
Okay. Well, while Mark is doing that, because we can't both be hosting the show. We can't have Ryoma host while Mark is doing it.
You do it while I do this.
Okay.
You look it up. But anyways, the point is that it's not like we're choosing to be longer. It's like how long it realistically takes to swap everything out, swap the players out, swap the gear out, sanitize, bring new players on, put on all their stuff, tech check, which the tech check is not insignificant. It's like players should be checking mice, keyboards, sound settings. Sometimes they load into game, click around, make sure everything's right. You know, like it takes a minute to get through all that stuff. And so like the analyst desk and content is not there to prolong the show. It's there to fill the void between games. And so I think sometimes people seem to think that like we're choosing to do this. And sometimes people are like, well, get it lower, be faster. And it's like, well, I don't know if you know how reality works, but like you can't just make things happen instantaneously. So like, and I also would say, in general, not saying the LCS is great, but in general, League Esports is actually pretty good about turnaround times on things compared to.
Compared to a lot of esports, yeah, I will agree with you on that.
Yeah, like not saying it's perfect, not saying this has been the goal or like hitting the thing for summer, but like everyone knows that, and we're trying to fix it. Yeah. So that's not like really. I know that Reddit thread blew up, but my response, I responded to something earlier in the day on Sunday about that, which was more just like clarification and like transparency around it. And then there was a TSM thing that blew up later because we had 100 Thieves play TL, and then there was TSM versus C9. And like after the TSM C9 game, it was realistically about half of the segment devoted to discussing who's the #1 team, but apparently that was too much in some people's eyes, and they wanted us to just spend more time talking about TSM winning. It was also weird given that we had a pause in the middle of the game at like 15 minutes in where we talked about the draft again and we talked about a couple of the first plays. And so like I didn't think, and a lot of us didn't think it was like compelling content to hit that again. So anyways, it blew up. People were like, you should do more post-game analysis. And then that was a bit of a disaster because it's like, I don't think that's what you mean. I think what you meant was you didn't like that segment, which is a fair opinion to have. But we haven't been doing post-games like at all this split, or hardly at all. And so it was one of those things where it's like the fans are saying one thing, but their emotions and what they're upset about is clearly saying another. Like they don't want more post games generally because there's a host of other teams who have not been getting many post games, and it's not those fans who are complaining.
So one of the challenges I'm running and looking for the stuff online is all the VODs are cut to only be the game. So I don't know where to find like the full VOD. I did happen to stumble upon this TSM Dig game that's like 54 minutes long from August 23rd, 2014, back at the good old 54-minute long League of Legends days.
You're useless. I found a VOD.
Okay, great. Well, I'm glad we divvied up the work the way we did. While you're looking into that, I will take over because you and I will obviously, I think, talk a lot about that. But I think a lot of people will have questions for Ryoma about what's been happening in the LCS and what he thinks.
I already got you. All right. This game, this is from 2014, NA Summer, Week 1, Day 1. The game ended in the total VOD. It's a 6-hour VOD. The game ended at 2:02 and 27 seconds. Next game, Champ Select, started at 2:19, 26 seconds. Travis, can you do some quick math for me? Is that about exactly 17 fucking minutes? Is that almost exactly what I just said is the goal? And then you said, like, no, I think it was shorter back in the day.
There must have been a technical delay on that.
No, you know what? You're fucking right, dude. It was 1 second faster. It was 16 minutes and 59 seconds. It was faster back in the day.
I see that we're gonna have a spicy episode. Mark is in a certain mood.
Only because you were like, no, you're wrong, and I was like, bro, I work on the broadcast. This is the classic Reddit thing where it's like, I have no idea what I'm saying, but let me correct you.
My only confusion was you were not working on the broadcast in 2014, so that's why I had more confidence in this.
Yeah, but people talk like, people who were there in 2014 are like, yeah, this is what we've always had.
Yeah.
Okay.
So TSM went 3-0, and CLG went 3-0 this past weekend, which I'm sure a lot of people have some interesting things to talk about. CLG Rising. Ryoma, how much have you been watching? Do you watch all the LCS games?
I watched majority of these games.
Okay.
Honestly, I think CLG have come up with a good plan. I think they chose very easy execution comps to work with. Very like dive heavy, I'd say. I think what they're doing is actually pretty good, and I think a lot of teams can actually take from it and, improve probably.
So on that, how much do you think is like face roll comp easy to win, and how much is like this is what like looking forward to next week? Should all the teams be trying to like look for a similar thing? Is just like just a good meta thing, or is it like a crutch almost?
I mean, I also think it's like champion dependent, I guess. Like I'd say Galio is kind of easier to play. Like you don't really require much to do in lane. And same with like the other champs, I guess. I'd say once you get past that lane, it's like really easy for you to find windows to break open, and the enemy team has to kind of like, I guess, misstep a lot, and it kind of happens a lot, I guess, on stage. People in the wrong positions and stuff, and you just have to punish those windows. And once you have once you have like Rakan, it's like really nice to find those windows. I think even IMT's draft, I guess, the Rakan one, Nocturne, I think, stuff like that, I think was like. I think it was like the only reason why they won that game.
Well, I think there's just been a lot of discussion around how well CLG just knows the meta right now and kind of what's been going on. So either way, I don't want to steal even more callers' takes and questions, but I think that'll be an interesting discussion as we get into the show. So that's a big thing. I'm trying to think if there's anything else that are major narratives in LCS right now that I'm forgetting of. Maybe Twitch chat will remember, or maybe we've already pulled some calls about it. But I definitely think it's interesting. Actually, I have one quick question that I hope won't infringe on any other callers. But Mark and Ryoma, I'd love to get your take. Or it feels like in summer split of the LCS, more than in spring, more than in a while, there are so many games where the gold graph is like all in favor for one team. And then you get to like 2 or 3 minutes before the end, or maybe 5 minutes, and there's just a giant cliff, and then the other team wins. And I like one of the greatest examples of this, I think, is the Immortals matches from, I think you guys showed on Saturday their gold graph from like the Friday and the like
Sunday
previous
game,
Sunday.
I think it was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it feels like I've seen that multiple times, or at the very least, even if the gold graphs don't look that way, it's a similar story where it's like, wow, these teams were winning all the way up until the moment they lost. And I'm kind of curious. I talked a little bit about it in the LCS interviews I did this weekend. But one, is this fine? Because I asked this question to Finn in the interview that I did with him. It's on the channel, and there were some smartasses in the comments that were like, Travis doesn't understand that teams can be like one team can be better at team fighting and the other team can be better at laning. I'm like, I totally get that, but I'm just noticing it a lot right now, and I don't know if that's like the meta is just allowing for like crazy volatility late game, or if it is we just have some teams that are really shit early game and really great late, or if people are just picking comps that are just like going in different directions. So I'm kind of curious. You guys are both, you know, far more knowledgeable on this stuff than I am. What is happening?
Coin flip. I don't know.
Is it happening more? Am I just noticing it like the blue car syndrome, or is it just does it actually feel like it's happening a lot more these days? The split.
I think it depends on what teams as well. I think EG in particular, they're a good team to watch.
Well,
I think they
CLG
specialize
had
in
it
this one.
before they went on their win streak. I feel like it was happening to CLG a lot too, right? Where they had a lot of games where like they were winning a ton and then they just lose. Immortals had this like, and so when you're seeing it so frequently, you know, it just, to my eyes, it feels like it's very common in the LCS right now, and I don't know if that's just the state of the game.
The only thing I can see about it being a state of the game thing is that in a lot of games where it becomes volatile in the late game, usually one team won the early game, and they'll have like 3 or 4 Drakes, usually they'll be like on Soul Point or something, or that they'll get Soul. And then you get like really wonky things where one team is like not going to want to take those trades, or you're getting these weird trade situations which can like lead into base races and stuff. That's the only thing I can possibly think of, but we've had Drake Soul and stuff for a while. I think it's just aberrations, you know. I don't know why there would be anything in the meta that's like, yeah, well, because they had Ziggs, they had to backdoor and make it fucking wild for TSM, you know, like I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I guess we will see. All right. Well, without further ado, Mark has already pulled a ton of callers, so we don't need to do the spiel, but it is a call-in show if this is your first time here, and you can join our Discord if you'd like to be able to put a question in the future. And there, if you are a sub, make sure you sync your Twitch chat or your Twitch account with your Discord so that you can get access to the subtopics channel. Yeah. All right, Mark, you want to go grab our first caller? All right. Thank you to Bob69 for the resub, core user Twitch for gifting 2 subs, Shampoo for 2 years, core user Twitch for the resub for 6 months, Wickhelm, Red Rain, Final Fantasy 14, Pluto 7443, 39 months, holy moly, Christian Kalen, T Punisher 247, Kanoke, Clock Cruncher with all these gifted subs, oh my gosh, 10, 1, 1, 1 to Papa Smithy, Trevillian, the Slatherpuss, and I think we're all caught up. Thank you guys for the subs. I appreciate it. Ryoma,
Yo,
do you have a favorite restaurant yet in LA?
favorite restaurant?
Yeah.
Pasta Sis is pretty good. I've been there once.
Pasta Sister. Wait,
I like that a lot. Yeah.
I
like
said
them more
your
than
favorite restaurant, and you name a restaurant that you've been to once?
as in like I've ate there a lot. As in I order it, but when I ate there
but
the
you
first
only
time,
said-
I was like, oh wow, it's actually a lot better when you can go out and eat.
No, Pasta Sisters is sick. It's your boy Juicy. Welcome to the show. Where are you calling from?
I'm calling from, I think I said this before, Glendale, California.
Glendale, California. I mean, I ask every time. Sometimes people move, you know. There's a lot of
I see.
happening right now.
Travis has a doc, a Google spreadsheet of every caller's name and location.
I do not memorize everybody. But it's your boy Juicy. Thank you for calling back. to the show. What do you want to talk about this time?
I'll talk about 100 Thieves' performance of specifically Abbedagge, and since Ryoma used to play with the starter 100 Thieves players, I want to ask him, what do you think of Abbedagge's performance during this 3 weeks? Because he's been booming a lot, and I know that TSM got a 3-0 and all that too, but I want to look at TSM's performance, not TSM, 100 Thieves' performance as a whole, and that we shouldn't forget that 100 Thieves beat TSM before. And pretty sure like Abbedagge pretty much contested PoE pretty well. So Ryoma, what do you think about Abbedagge's performance like during these 3 weeks?
When you say he's been booming, do you mean like
In a good way.
in a good
In
way?
a good way, yeah, in a good way.
I was gonna say because I'm pretty sure he's been doing
Booming.
pretty good, but Twitch chat seems kind of confused by it, so that's why I was asking. All right, so Abbedagge, what do you think of his entrance to the team, Ryoma?
I mean, we obviously scrim him as well, so I get to get like some insight, I guess, on how he lanes and stuff. I think he's actually pretty good. I think he's your pretty standard EU mid laner. I think you know what you're gonna get from him. Kind of similar to I guess when I verse Perks, I get the same kind of feel. I feel like that kind of impact, I guess, it helps a lot. Like when you have that lane pressure, it creates a lot of, I guess, windows for your team to like you can punish a lot more. I think also he also calls like he calls like stuff for like plays, I guess. He calls plays like really well. I'd say the windows he sees are pretty good, especially when he's playing like Akali and stuff, I'd say. I think that's why he had that really good. I think it was actually against TSM as well, his Akali game. And I think when you have like that kind of mindset, that kind of play style, I think you'll pop off.
Do you think he's bringing a lot of in-game leadership to the team and direction? Because I feel like that was one of the issues that happened a lot last split for the team. Is it seemed like sometimes 100T would get like a lead and then things would just go sideways or whatever. So I don't know how vocal he is and how much he's doing that stuff. But
I wouldn't say it's a leadership thing. I think just pressure-wise on the map, I just think it's harder to verse 100 Thieves, especially. I mean, it's pretty obvious that he's pretty good. And yeah,
I just want to point out also that I don't mean to drop down Ryoma also. I know that you have been practicing a lot to try to improve also, but people have been saying also that because 100 Thieves did really good without Ryoma, and Abbedagge is like a super upgrade. And when I looked at it, at his performance, he actually did pretty well. People always say like, oh, maybe Abbedagge one day he's gonna fall, and then someone will say, oh, bench Abbedagge, get Ryoma back, or Damonte or whatnot. And I'm like, it's the same as goes for Perks and King and all that too, like that. But that's what I'm wondering because I'm saying this because I know that you haven't been playing a lot of Ryoma. You've been playing in Academy more often, so I know that I'm not like trying to like downsize you and anything, but I'm just wondering in general, like, what do you think of his performance? That he has been trying to like defend 100 Thieves' position to really reach for worlds and all that.
I guess for 100 Thieves, I think they'll make worlds at least this time around. I think they'll be a top 2 team by the end of it. I'm not sure who will win. I guess that's my take on it.
It's like one of those conversations where you just got your foot in your mouth and you don't know how to get it out by the collar. Here's something I'll ask. How closely does the Academy team work with them? Because Reaper's the other kind of big change up from spring to summer. And we had Jensen on last week kind of saying like, hey, for the 100 Thieves improvement, how big is Reaper? So I don't know if you've had the opportunity to work with him or even just see him work with the main team.
I think from what I've seen and heard, I guess, I think he has been pretty good for them. I can see it, I guess, just mentality shifts, I guess. I think they're just more not as loose, I guess, as before. I feel like it's more just I feel like they're just on the right path, I guess. Like just having a good mindset when it comes to like just achieving their goals.
I think the looseness and mindset thing kind of showed in the Immortals game they played, where it was probably one of the worst plays I've seen in a long time. They're getting if you watch the game, they were getting dove top lane, and like they killed Someday, and then like Abbedagge's TP finished, and then they killed Abbedagge, and the closer was like trying to run to the turret, and they killed him, and it was like, horrible, but then it didn't slow them down at all. Whereas I feel like a lot of times LCS teams on stage, if something goes wrong, they start getting a little shy. Like I think the looseness that they play with is pretty apparent, and so I can totally see what you're talking about like that kind of mindset being better.
Well, either way, thank you so much, caller, for taking the time to call. Is there anything that you want to shout out before we move on to our next caller?
Just 100 Thieves in general, like Reaper also, just like he's been pretty much doing a really good job coaching. Ever since he just got on, I was surprised by his return, and yeah, he's been doing a really good job coming back, and I hope that like C9, he can bring 100 Thieves to Worlds, and maybe bring him even to semifinals again.
Nice. Well, thank you, ItsYaBoiJuicy, so much for the call, and we will catch you next time.
Thank you.
All right. Mark is off to grab the next caller.
Oh,
Mark is off to grab
one.
the next caller. Thank you to the Slatherpuss, Burnt Cooter, Rotator AFK, Hippo Squirrel, and iAmZeGinger for the subs. Always appreciate it. It's very nice, everybody. Twitch chat, be nice, everyone. You guys are extra aggressive tonight. Maybe let's all just chill. All right. Next up is Skillshot Master 420. Great name. Where are you calling from?
Yo, I'm calling from the Den down here. I just like to say what's up to you, T-Gaff, old Mark Z, Big Ryoma, Tommy Two Shoes, Tommy Tuesday, Piss Smurfing all over the LCS. What's poppin',
What do
man?
you want to talk about on the show, Skillshot?
Hey, man. So when you got in last split, it was kind of unfortunate circumstances. You were coming in for DeMonte, and with all like the chatter from your previous split, how are you able to get in the mindset to be able to perform? And let's not take anything down. You did pretty well. You're able to take down Dignitas in that playoff series. Like, how are you able to get into that situation, knowing that you're coming in for a guy who is supposed to carry this team to a possible MSI appearance?
I was just doing my own thing. I mean, I felt like if I worked hard enough, I would eventually get my spot back, but it would take time. It took a very long time, in my opinion. I just thought as long as I worked hard, I felt like that academy split as well, I was doing pretty well. I think we were doing pretty well as an academy team. So I just felt like as long as I worked hard, I will try. I'll just do anything it takes to be back to LCS pretty much. And yeah, that was just my mindset.
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting situation when you find yourself coming in like halfway through the split. Is that, what was the team like when you walked in to that team? Is it like a tough situation where, I don't know, maybe people's mental isn't where it needs to be or whatever? I imagine it's much more difficult than starting from square one.
Yeah, I mean, it was pretty. Honestly, I feel like it could have been worse. I think we're all pretty good friends. We're actually all really good friends. I think we're all pretty close. Individually, I'm pretty close with everyone. It was just kind of hard just because of all the hype they had prior to their downfall, and it just sucked a lot when they started losing, I guess. But I think the vibes were pretty good though. When I came in, I felt like we were improving, but maybe it's not as fast as we wanted to. But it is what it was.
Yeah. I don't know, Mark, if you have any thoughts on Ryoma's triumphant appearance last split.
I mean, it's always. I mean, I think you see it even now with some of the substitutions that have gone on, where it's like something's on fire or not working, and you're brought in, and it's like, all right, I guess I'm here to help put out some of these fires. It's just never great. It's not the way you want to come back into the LCS when things are already going down. I don't know. It feels kind of almost like a lose-lose unless you actually turn it around. It's like, holy shit, we're back on top. Everything else just feels like it's not going to be well received.
Well, I imagine it's tough for Ryoma because it's whenever Hunter T or any team is in a tough situation and they are losing games people think they should win, I assume it's a thing where everybody has their opinion on what is going wrong. And so when you show up on the team people are like, well, it shouldn't be him. They need to fix these other issues. And why is he here? Or you show up on the team and they're like, he's not fixing the issues. Like they're still. So I imagine it just puts a lot more pressure on you.
Yeah, I mean, there was definitely more pressure. I was like kind of shocked, I guess, because there's only like I guess so much you can do. Like individually, it's more about how like as a team you kind of just bounce back. I guess it's a lot about just like having a better mentality, making sure you're kind of improving every day. But at the time, it was. I mean, that was just my mindset, at least at the time, just individually trying to keep up, making sure I'm at the top, but, you know, it happens.
Yeah. Well, Skillshot, quick call, but I think he probably was able to answer your question. Anything you want to say before we take a quick break?
Yeah, just thank you all. Shout out to Alienware for the dope ass headsets. Also, shout out Ryoma, man. I believe in you, man. You're gonna come back and you're gonna piss Smurf all over the LCS. You're gonna take a stomp on your size 24 boot on the entire LCS, and I'm gonna be extremely excited to see that once you're back, man.
Thank you, thank you.
Thank you so much, Skillshot, for the call, and we'll catch you next time.
Thanks, man. Thanks, guys.
All right,
It's his name.
we're going to take a quick break. Speaking of Alien, we're going to talk about Alienware. We'll let Ryoma lace his size 24 shoes while we do this quick break. So first off, I want to say thank you to Alienware for supporting us over all these years. It's actually been really cool to have their support. And this week I've seen a lot of people even tweeting at me trying to get in on some of the deals or the new notebooks that Alienware has, just asking me about, I don't know, if there's any deals going and all that stuff. So it's cool to see all of you taking to social media to support Alienware and how they support me. One thing I've been promoting a lot lately, when I'd love to have your support on, is the Alienware Arena program that they have going on right now. It's a really cool thing. They give away game keys, and there's all sorts of contests. You can win discounts and all this kind of stuff through that. And you can actually sign up for it by going to alienware.com/Travis. If you're watching the VOD on YouTube, you can find it in the link in the description below. But it shouldn't be that hard to remember. It's alienware.com/Travis. Again, if you're listening to this show right now on the road, pull over to the side of the road, type this thing into your phone, and then click on, and it's a little small, I know, but right above my head. Actually, no, they took it over. Nice. They updated it. There's a banner right there at the top that says Join Alienware Arena today. So they've made it very easy. Just click my face, and you'll be able to sign up for it. Signing up for Alienware Arena actually helps me a ton because it's a great way. Like, you know, obviously it's great whenever people use my code or something to buy a computer. People are like, oh, okay, he's, you know, at Alienware. They're like, oh my God, he's not useless to us. He's actually able to get people to buy stuff. But it's also really helpful, you know, if maybe you're not in the market for a computer right now, or I don't know, any number of different things. You're waiting for like a big deal or something. Signing up for Alienware Arena, that is something else that they can see, the value that I can bring to them. So if you are part of the Hotline League community, or you like my content, signing up for Alienware Arena at alienware.com/Travis, very helpful. Just click my face at the top and you can sign up and join up. It'll be awesome. So thank you to everyone who does that. And by the way, if you are part of Alienware Arena already, maybe log in and check out what they're giving away or what contests they have going. Maybe you can win something or have some cool time. Yeah, I see some people talking about being broke college students. Hey, check this out. They sometimes give away via contests. They do giveaways of Alienware computers. So maybe you can even win one yourself if you don't have the capability right now or the interest in purchasing one. So thank you again, Alienware, for supporting the show. I think Mark is off to grab our next caller. Thank you to iAmZeGinger, Cheeto18, Definitely Joe, Circle Camp, Kenny G, and Shuval for the subs. Really appreciate it. Aemulator is here. Aemulator, I feel like you've been on the show before, or you've subbed a lot. But I recognize your name.
Yeah, I'm a 3-month sub, first-time caller.
Yes. Well, welcome to the show. Thank you for being a supporter. Where are you calling from?
I'm calling from New York, but I am from Massachusetts. Shout out to Mark.
Nice. Where
Hometown?
I don't know if I want to say that on the internet.
Can you say where you're near, or what part of
Boston area. Boston area.
Okay. Well, welcome to the show. Sorry, Mark was trying to dox you. What do you want to talk about on the show tonight?
Yeah, I'm here to talk about how people should not really be buying the Immortals hype that's going around right now. In particular, I compared them to the Dignitas of this split. I got a few points as to why I don't believe the Immortals hype.
Okay, go for it.
Yeah, so kind of to start, because I'll be quick with like all of the individual points, because I have a few. I don't think kind of piece for piece or player for player, Immortals looks notably better than they did last split, outside of maybe the bot lane, is kind of the one exception. Xerxes also as well, but I still feel like he's kind of Rumble one-tricking. Revenge in the top lane, I feel like is pretty inconsistent. I've with friends compared him to kind of the Jizuke of the top lane in that he's super coin flippy. Like 1 week he could beat Alfari, and the next week he could like lose to Fake God. Also, in addition to that, I'm not really a huge believer in Gihoto. He coached 10th place Origin last, and he brought over Xerxes, but I think even that Origin roster had a lot of better players part for part. It had Alfari, it had Upset as AD carry. And kind of the final point is that I do not believe that after kind of one good start to the split, that undoes kind of the past like year and a half of Immortals kind of tanking ever since the Optic merge. And kind of note, I had more faith in the IMT27 spring roster that got 7th with like Dardoch and Pobelter than right now, because I feel like that 2017 roster at least had like very defined strengths, being like Pobelter being a best in NA mid ever since he fixed a DPI issue that season, and Ole back in the day was one of the best roaming supports.
Okay.
And so I had more faith in like that 7th
Well,
place roster.
we don't need to go into the 2017 roster because they're not playing right now. But I hear
yeah, just kind of that's my overall point being is that like I know that like once upon a time Immortals may have been able to kind of turn around their poor performance, but I just do not feel that way about the current iteration of Immortals.
Ryoma had a giant grin on his face for a lot of this, or rather a stifled grin, I should say. So I'm curious how much he will admit to agreeing with this versus how much of it he disagrees with.
No, I find Immortal is just a funny thing because I have 2 friends over there. I get the bot lane. I think they're playing pretty well at least. So
okay, so when he shouted out the bot lane, you
I was pretty happy about that. But it's also because the Gihoto thing is funny, is because you know the situation last split when we played and they kind of had a remake.
Yes,
About that?
I
Yeah,
forgot
I've
about
had that situation when when Immortals was brought up. It's just funny. I always think about that one.
Yeah, I forgot. I'm actually kind of
Yeah.
sad because I heard that you guys were unhappy during that, like behind the scenes, and I wish that beef got pulled up a little bit more because it is like spicy LCS drama that could create like an interesting rivalry between you guys. So I don't know. Are you still feeling grouchy about it?
No, I mean we won still at least, so it wasn't the worst. But it was just funny because I don't know if I'm allowed to go in detail, but we were in the game, but on the outside you don't actually get to see the game because the 7-minute delay, I think.
Yeah.
So you guys were just in champ select, but when we're in the game, all I say is we got first blood, and then the game paused, and then remade. So I just found
the
that
timing felt suspicious.
I think that it just felt really funny. That's all, and then
Okay.
I guess that's why I'm kind of laughing.
Okay, well, going away from that, what do you think of the... Oh, go ahead, Mark.
I was going to say the minor thing for me is also that I wish we had ProView for that one, because I got to imagine there was some shit talk going down in the chat, because that's one of the best things about being back in studio.
Yes, I heard there was some shit talk. But, Ryoma, what do you think of the rest of the callers' points? Like, is IMT overrated right now? What do you think?
I think, honestly, I don't think they're... Okay, I can understand why the caller feels this way, you know? Like, their top side is not that strong compared to... I mean, not as strong, but, like, I guess... Their bot lane is overperforming, I'd say. Covering a lot of holes for the team. But I'd say... I think Xerxes is actually pretty good, from what I see. I feel like he's actually making a lot of plays for that team. Covering a lot of the early game. I feel like they play around him pretty well as well, so... I think... I also don't think their solo laners are that good, but I mean, it's just in comparison to the top like tier players, I guess.
I think we should just clip the start of the call and just send it to the Immortals guys to,
Normally at
meme on
least
and
one
give
of them is in the
fuel.
chat. So I was
Yeah,
surprised whenever nobody started screaming during in the Twitch chat.
It was funny. I saw Revenge because they were last game on Sunday as I was like leaving, and he was like, "Hotline League tomorrow." Like, yep, can't wait. First Immortals topic. These guys suck.
Yeah.
I don't fully agree with the caller. I think they have improved. He says they're the Dignitas of last split, and I'm like, yes, you're right. Dignitas of last split was a team that didn't have a ton of like expectations or like raw skill or whatever you want to call it, but they were able to take wins off top teams, beat the teams below them by being scrappy or, having interesting drafts where Dardoch was playing random shit. Like, no, I actually think that's the right comparison. You just look at it in a negative angle. Like, yeah, they're not going to win the championship. They might not go to Worlds, but like for a team who is struggling a fair amount in spring to make improvements, the bot lane is playing better. You're right. I think Xerxes is playing a little bit better too. He's off Lilia Hecarim duty and actually can play like frontline engage or whatever for the team. They could have 3-0'd this weekend, and they should have actually. They should have beat TSM. I think I always feel like in base race situations, if you don't recall one of your weakest members to just fuck with the guy from last hitting the turret, it's kind of trolling. Which is why I think the TSM won that one, was because they just didn't. They could have recalled anyone not Ziggs or their AD carry and maybe won that game. And I think it's a bunch of young guys. Xerxes is the only one with real experience in a major region, or a lot of it. So I can understand. They made a mistake, but they could have 3-0'd and beaten TSM this weekend. I think that's actually pretty impressive. And they do cool things in the draft. I think the Ziggs pick, some of the Gragas with Imperial Mandate stuff. They're clearly not just meta slaves who are just worse versions of top teams. They have their own ideas.
Yeah, so what I'll kind of respond to the Dignitas comparison being apt, but also a compliment is I agree because we are still in summer. But remember how, or I'm sure you do remember, but Dignitas deflated super, super quickly in playoffs, and that for me kind of killed my hope in Dignitas. And kind of in addition to that, I think Xerxes is kind of just on more comfort picks than normal, and I am worried that if the meta is to shift again in summer and take him off things like Rumble, that he's going to kind of go back to how he's performing last spring with the meta was a lot of engage ganking junglers.
It's possible. It's still early on, and this is a longer split. So I wouldn't be surprised if there's peaks and valleys where they went 0-3 last week, right? They went 3-0, 0-3, and then they went 2-1 this time. I bet they have some stinker weeks to go, but I would also bet that they continue to improve and probably finish around 5th, 6th, which is an improvement. Not like it's they're world beaters.
Where did they place in spring? Last
7th.
7th?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's still a good jump, decent jump.
Well, and especially, they're a development team.
Yeah.
They're a development team. They are spending very little money. And so I think, if you are Kyoto and you get that team to 5th place with the budget that they spent, and by the way, they will finish, if that's the case, above multiple teams that spent significantly more than them, regardless of who it is, because I just know that they rank lower in the spending. You can go to your GM and you can say, look what I did with the budget roster that you got me. And so I think that that's good. I also it is an interesting question on what their score line would look like if they hadn't done the academy experiment the previous week where they went 0-3. So not to say that I think that was entirely the reason they lost, but if you told me that they could have picked up one or more of those. The only thing is, I will say, I don't know if we have a take on 100T or CLG. I assume Mark, you have some of those in the.
I got a CLG one. I think we have 100 Thieves, but.
Well, I'll just say this now, and then we can talk a little bit more about it because it's going to be the same. I am a little skeptical on 100T, CLG, and Immortals right now because I feel we have the top of this league has weakened tremendously. You just see what's going on with C9. I don't think TL seems to be in that great of a place. And then even I don't know, EG and some of these other teams feel they are just not looking too hot. So I am
fucking depressed, dude. You just said literally the whole. You just literally.
I do. Yes, we've talked. I thought we talked about this on Hotline League last week, Mark. I am I'm feeling kind of down on the LCS because I feel like I think it's going to get better. I think it's very likely that like Sven and or Alfari will come back. I think like some of these other teams will start to power up and figure out some of their stuff. But right now, it certainly feels like we are in a weaker position than we were at the end of spring. And so I think that is why I want to see CLG and IMT and 100T tested against the top of part of the league that we had at the end of spring, and I'm hoping those teams turn it on. Is that fair?
Sure.
Yeah, that seems pretty fair.
Thank you, Aemulator.
Yeah.
I appreciate it. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe all these teams are sick. It's great, and everything's good.
Yeah.
I certainly am not one to shit on the LCS. Aemulator, what do you what do you think of all this? Any final thoughts before I give you your shout out time?
Yeah. I think I agree that like there's obviously like no agreeing or disagreeing to that they are performing pretty well at the start of summer. But like game by game, like for example, I didn't think their win over C9 like it was pretty good like in regards to like towers, like particularly in the mid lane and bot lane. But I didn't think like play wise it was super convincing. I think Blaber had a really bad Diana game. That was like very uncharacteristic of Blaber kind of as well. And I guess what I am like very worried about happening is that I remember this from last spring. There was this narrative around Dignitas that was like, oh, just you wait for Dignitas to hit playoffs, and they're going to challenge all these top teams, and then they just like deflate like a balloon the second they get in. So like I'm kind of worried that like the same thing is happening again. Also because I used to be a huge Immortals fan before the rebrand. So I'm just like very worried about like the narrative surrounding them, and I feel like they are showing very much right now that they are a best of one team, which is like what you need to do to place well in LCS. But that doesn't give me confidence in them as a team. Yeah. I would say.
Well, thank you for the call. Is there anything that you want to shout out before we go on to our next caller?
Yeah, shout out Hotline League, like I said before, first time call, and it was super fun. Shout out Alienware, shout out Game Fuel, as always. I'll shout out my Twitter. Follow me at Aemulator, except the O is a 0. And shout out to the homies who all convinced me to try and come on the show because I was very reluctant to.
Well, I'm glad you got on, and thank you for being a sub.
Thank you so much. Yeah, that's all I got.
We'll catch you next time.
Yeah, thank you.
What a nice, genuine caller. I mean, obviously he shit on IMT, but I thought he did it in a very strong, directed way. You okay, Mark? Oh, you're muted. Oh, he's live.
Nah, he left the channel.
Okay.
He doesn't look okay.
He's clearly, he needs some game fuel. He needs to chug that thing. Sir Wintersloth, thank you for the prime. Efi, thank you for the resub, 22 months. 100 Talk Pod, thank you for the gifted sub, and then for also to 100 Talk Jordan, and then also for gifting 5 community subs as well, and the raid. I think Ryoma, I think that you guys might be the team with the most active fan podcast, I would say. I don't know if you've interacted with the 100 Talk Pod guys, but I think it's really cool that they support your team so much.
Yeah, no, I like those guys. They did it. We did an interview a while back. I think last year.
Yeah. Well, thank you to Dancing Blades for showing up on the show. Where are you calling from, Dancing Blades?
Hey, Marietta, California.
Oh, very close to Temecula, which is one of the many places that I am from. I assume it's very hot out there these days.
Oh yeah, it's been hot lately.
Nice.
We just moved out here actually. We used to live in LA.
Nice. Well, what do you want to talk about on the show? What do you want to talk about on the show, Dancing Blades?
Oh, did you lag?
Maybe.
Nope, that's all you, buddy.
Oh, my bad.
What do you want to chat about?
Yeah. I've been talking about Spica has always been in the top 3 junglers in the league, but he gets pretty overshadowed by Blaber. And but lately TSM's been on the up and up. So if they keep it up, then he can probably be MVP of the split.
So it's really interesting you talk about TSM because what I really like to do actually is talk about 100 Thieves and Closer because I've actually been so much more impressed by 100 Thieves than TSM, and I think he's really outperforming.
Is this for those of you that are unaware, perhaps Ryoma being one of them, after the TSM game today or yesterday, there was a lot of discussion about 100T and how good they were looking, and that upset I think a lot of TSM fans on Reddit. So Mark took a lot of criticism of that.
Yeah, I just think
Go ahead.
they need to beat 100 Thieves next.
Well, I don't know. What do you think, Ryoma? Dancing Blade. Sorry, I think you're lagging a little bit, but let's get into it. Ryoma, what do you think? Spica.
I think he's up there in the junglers. I'd say. I think maybe this split I'm not too impressed. I think Closer has been looking pretty good. I think despite that Zinzao game, I'd say he's been looking pretty good. I think he's made up for a lot with that Diana game. I think him and Abbedagge, I think when it comes to even Huhi, I think when they 3v3 around mid, I think they look a lot better. Just their map movements, and I think it helps FBI and Someday a lot. And honestly, the way I see it, I think 100 Thieves right now is the team to beat. Even though CLG recently beat them, I think they are the team to beat. I think they're the ones that look like just the best right now, I'd say.
I think TSM and Spica, moving past the MVP potential point for now and just talking about him being top 3 always, I don't want to say that because it almost feels disingenuous to the improvement that he's made for me in my eyes over the most recent his career. Because when he subbed in the first time for TSM, it was a total disaster. Where it was the Acadian Grig thing, and he kind of came in and it was the team was exploding. It felt like, and then it took a little bit to get back into the starting lineup. And this time it was I think off Dardoch getting benched, and so ever since then he's just been slowly improving. And I think to that point about Blaber not looking as good, I don't think Santorin has looked quite as dominant as his FlyQuest or even early first split in TL. And so I feel like the door has been opened a little bit more. And Spica has been playing better this split. He was good last split. He was top half easily last split. I forget if I put him or Dardoch in my third team all pro. I can't remember. It was close. But I can't remember. But either way, I think it's fair to say Blaber's slumping a little bit. And so it does feel to me 1-2 this split are easily Closer Blaber. Or Closer Spica, excuse me.
Well, what are the odds? I know you said moving away from the MVP discussion, but what do you think who are the MVP contenders right now?
No fucking chance.
Oh, okay. Well, there goes that.
I don't think, even if TSM finishes number 1, they're one of these weird teams where I actually don't feel
it really is the sum of their parts, right?
Yeah, they don't feel oh, look at this guy popping off. Whereas for 100 Thieves, Closer is 10 kill Diana game building fucking Deathcap third, and you're all right, well I guess he's been playing really well. And so it's also the TSM style. I think the things that Spica does for TSM are a lot more about advancing win conditions and okay, they have the Jace top, I have a Lee Sin top. He can set up ganks for me. We're gonna chain gank this to control their early games, so that way the Victor can scale. And I feel like they play such an intelligent game around that stuff. It's not very explosive. It's not very pop off. He's playing Volibear and he's doing his job. I feel like that playstyle might hurt him, whereas I feel like Closer playing, Zen paired with Karma, it's this is the show for him to pop off, and it's a little bit more transparent to viewers.
Dancing Blades, Mark is coming for your man. What do you have to say for that? How is Spica going to get MVP if Closer is showing him up?
I mean, they definitely have 2 more games against 100 Thieves, so we have time to figure that out. I think that 100 Thieves had a pretty new style that they just couldn't adapt to, for sure.
Yeah. Well, I guess we will as I always say, we will have to see as things progress over the course of this. But I will say, if Spica does end up getting MVP, then I really appreciate this call because I'll be able to clip it out and put it on Twitter and get a ton of engagement for saying fan predicts it so far in advance. Ryoma, do you think there's any chance Spica gets MVP?
I think it's kind of hard because I think it's also playstyle dependent. Like, I think PoE is like their main carry. I think he's normally on like the really like Victor is a mid laner. You're pretty selfish with. You're not gonna move too many plays. So it's like, whereas you have Abbedagge playing Karma for your Xin Zhao, right? You're gonna look a lot better. So I think it's also dependent on the player. I mean, your team style, I guess, and that's
Yeah.
just how TSM play the game. So I think it's also really hard to look good, I guess, for Spica.
It very similar to what Mark was just saying, and I think
Yeah.
reminds me a lot of the discussions we had where, TSM I think had a great split in spring, but then whenever it came to all pro voting and MVP voting and stuff, it was just like tough because players were great, but there was not like one standout where you're like, oh my god, this was like the PoE was the best mid lane. I mean, a lot of people did vote for him, but you get my point. Dancing Blades, thanks so much for the call. Is there anything you want to say before we move on to the next caller?
No, I think I'm good. Thank you guys for having me. First time caller.
Well, thanks for calling in. I really appreciate it, and we'll catch you next time.
All right, thank you.
I was surprised when you said you're gonna clip a call, and it was the fact that this guy predicted it, and not me saying not a fucking chance that Spica gets MVP.
Mark, I'm trying to stay on your good side tonight. That's what I've decided to take away.
What? I've been friendly the entire night, minus the one instance where I wasn't.
I'm just very sensitive these days, Mark. I'm very sensitive. Okay. Mark's off to grab the next caller. Thank you to Virulence for the Prime and iAmZeGinger for the resub. Ryoma, when was the last time you were able to head back home?
This one comes up a lot actually. 1.5 years ago. So
Yeah, I mean, I think it comes up.
end
go
of
ahead.
2019.
I think it comes up because so many people are just. I feel bad for a lot of the players that have moved over here because it's been. I know a lot of you haven't seen your families and friends
Yeah.
in a very long time. So I know
It's been a very long time actually.
Yeah. Well, hopefully soon. Community, welcome to the show. Where are you calling from?
I'm calling from San Bernardino County, California.
Oh, a lot of California callers today. Southern California callers. Community, what do you want to talk about on the show?
My take today is that Soligo and then Dardoch's benching on Dignitas signifies the start of the decline of Dignitas. And if both of them stay benched for the remainder of the season, I would be shocked if they even made playoffs at this point.
So some people caught this. I don't know if everybody did, but it was very funny because on Friday I published an interview that I did the weekend before with Jimmy, the coach from Dig, where the majority of it was talking about Dardoch. And he actually talks about how his first interview for a coaching position was with Mark Zimmerman and Steve from Team Liquid right before Breaking Point happened. And there were a lot of questions about how you deal with a player who has a lot of strong opinions. And he had talked a lot about how, I don't know, he kind of positioned it as oh yeah, Dardoch, we figured out how to work with him and he's not been an issue or anything like that. And then literally that day this happens. So it's very, very funny the way that it went down.
On that point, though,
Yes.
you did him dirty by recording it a week before, but releasing it on the day of the game.
Yeah, I blame the YouTube algorithm for that because, well, yes, I did him dirty when you take into account. I did not know he was going to be benching Dardoch later that night, but the YouTube algorithm, I tend to spread my interviews out over the course of the week because YouTube won't show it if you post too many videos. So it was just I'll post this one on Friday before the games. People will have some time to watch it. And then, boom. So
The other thing I was going to say about the coaching interview thing was I did a lot of interviewing on who we're going to hire. We interviewed David Lim and a bunch. We actually ended up hiring David Lim, but a bunch of people. But that was end of 2015, heading into the 2016 split. In the pre-season, it was probably November. It wasn't even close to the season start. We're doing some scrims, and I was like, man, fuck this shit, and I quit coaching. So I didn't even make it. So Dardoch wasn't even on the roster until I think it was after week 1. So like I didn't even ever actually coach Dardoch that much. Like we interacted a little bit because the academy team was like down the hall, and you know we talked and stuff. But like I never actually worked with him. So if there was someone that question was targeted towards, I don't remember. But it wasn't Dardoch, and there were some other people on that team. So who knows?
Piglet is probably a name that it could have been attached to.
Who knows? Man?
Who knows? Who knows? All right. Well, by the way, community, just a quick thing. I think did you mention you thought that they wouldn't make playoffs?
Yeah, because if you look at it right now, the bottom teams in LCS are Golden Guardians, FlyQuest, CLG, Immortals, and Dignitas. And I think at the current trajectory of it, I think more than likely it'll be Dignitas and Golden Guardians making it with CLG, FlyQuest, and Immortals all taking the spots over, because CLG have been on that rise, which will be enough to bump them above if they keep going at the same pace, as well as FlyQuest hasn't looked great, but I still think that they look better than Dignitas right now at this point in time without Dardoch and Soligo.
How many games are left, Mark? 18? I think 18.
Yeah, there's 3 round robins.
Okay. So it's not. So they have Dig has a 5-game lead on FlyQuest and CLG right now. So I guess it's not out of the question. Like if that team just like hard booms and starts losing a lot of games, then I guess it's not out of the question that they couldn't make playoffs. But man, how dramatic of a fall. And I'll have egg on my face because I've been talking up their coaching staff. All right, Ryoma, what do you think? What are the chances that Dig will not make playoffs? You're such a nice, friendly guy, and we've had so many calls tonight that are just like, IMT sucks. Dig's not making playoffs. Blah, blah, blah. And I just turned to you, and I'm like, are these players bad, Tommy? So, I don't know. Give us the next update. What do you think? Dig not making playoffs. What are the chances?
I think Dig. I mean, I think it's kind of obvious. I think they've weakened their roster, but it could be for the better. I'm not sure, right? But
usually, weakening your roster is not for the better. You want to strengthen your roster.
I mean, I thought Dig's strengths were like just. I think they had a really good record against like the bottom half of the ladder. I think they lost the majority of their games against like the top 4 teams, but they had a really good win record against like every other bottom team, and I think that's due to like. I guess their teamwork, but like I think I thought like their team fighting was a lot better than some teams, but I'm not sure what happened after that. But yeah, it seems like in summer split, it's not looking too hot for them this time around.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know the Dardoch situation that happened. I mean, there's enough history there for I think people to speculate like, okay, it seems like he probably had a bit of a blow up at the team or something after the loss to Golden Guardians, because that's a team that you expect to beat and stuff. The Yusui Soligo one is the one that I don't really understand for a couple of reasons. Like, I don't feel like there's a huge skill discrepancy. Like maybe there's some things that one does better than the other, but like I could understand maybe like they thought Soligo's landing was like a little weak, but Soligo made a lot of good plays, and I felt like, to your point that Rome was saying, they team fought pretty well together and seemed to have an idea of how to play the game out as a team. That kind of disappeared. Like that 4-0 Viego game by Yusui was not it, where like I just didn't see him do anything. So I think that was the one where I'm like, I don't know what's happening here, especially as an org that is seemingly more developmentally oriented. Like I don't know why you're pulling the plug on Soligo unless there's more going on behind the scenes, because it doesn't really make sense on the Rift. But Soligo seems like a really fucking chill guy when you see him. Like I can't imagine that guy popping off at people. It's like it'd be like trying to imagine Ryoma just like screaming at a teammate. I can't.
I can imagine that. Ryoma seems like I could see Ryoma physically assaulting someone. You know, like is that what happened last split
nice
in
guy.
spring, Ryoma?
Me media is free hands. Nah, I'm kidding. Nah.
Punched him in the forehead. You guys both.
Yes.
I actually, one of the things that I miss about you playing is watching the Medios' co-streams when you were playing, because he would just be like, Tommy, like it was always Tommy. It was either Tommy or no, Tommy, no, and it just it made it very fun to watch 100T games. What is Mark, maybe you can help me. What is like how frequently does Dardoch get benched and then come back to the team? Because I
Come
feel
back.
like because he gets, it's not the first, certainly not the first time he's ended up benched mid-split, and I don't feel like he has a very good success rate of returning.
I don't think a ton. So we were doing some investigation. There's only one time he made it through a whole year without having getting removed from the roster, and that was 2018 with Echo Fox. But every other year, it's come to a moment like this. The only times I can remember him coming back were the TL days, because on Immortals he was just removed and traded to CLG. On CLG he was just benched for Moon, I believe. Echo Fox he was on the whole time. On Optic, I believe he didn't come back. I don't think he came back on TSM. So I think that's all of them. So I don't know.
Actually, last year he went sent down to Academy, I think, for a little bit on Dignitas, and then came back to Dignitas. I think happened.
Last year?
It was
Yeah,
on
I just looked at his wiki, and yep, Dignitas Academy, June to July last year.
Thank you, community. Good job investigating.
Wasn't he on TSM last year?
I thought he was on TSM.
I'm a little, I was like, wait, how is he on Dig?
Yeah,
I'm
he joined
confused.
Dig May. I think it was like a in between splits thing.
It was in between because he did not play with Peter. So did he? Are you suggesting, community, that he didn't play some of the summer split games with Dig?
Yeah, I think that's what ended up happening. If I'm looking at it
Well,
correctly.
I see what you're saying. I was thinking, I was lost in the sauce.
Okay, well, regardless, I think it is likely that he does not have a great success rate of returning. So, I just like looking at this weekend at how things went down. There's a lot of questions that can be raised around how everything's gonna go down in the future with our good friend Dardoch. My God, I'm so curious to see if he if he doesn't come back. Is he going to be in the LCS? Is Dardoch perennial? Will he just always be in the LCS, but just always in a different team? Community, thank you so much for the call. Anything you want to shout out before we take a quick break?
Yeah. For Ryoma, I have a message from someone that he knows from back from OCE, someone named Sebi, because they're active in 100 Thieves Discord. They said that they miss you and all the other OCE players in LCS.
Thank you. I think I might be confused with two Sebis, but I think I know which one you're talking about.
I mean,
Yeah,
I saw them in the Twitch chat
FBI for a while.
earlier.
My old manager?
Yep.
Yeah,
That's the
There
one.
you go. There you go. I saw them in the Twitch
She's very
chat
nice.
So, yeah. Thank you, community, for the call, and we'll catch you next time.
Thank you.
People sending their messages to our guests through our callers, I think is an interesting development. The Noblet, thank you for the resub. I think I got IAmZeGinger 4, and I got Sethipu. No, I did not get Sethipu. Thank you for the subs, everyone. We are trying to build up back to 1,000 subscribers because we were down a little bit over the course of this past time. Ryoma, do you play any games other than League?
Not really. I mean, I jump games, but I don't really play any other game consistently. Just
Gotcha.
mainly League.
No single player games or anything like that?
No, not really.
Have you never done like Path of Exile? I feel like almost every LCS pro at some point in time has done
No,
Path
I
of
haven't done
Exile.
that, but I was playing, before off season, I guess.
Yeah.
Before season started, I was playing a lot of WoW, Shadowland. I was
Yes.
hanging out with Meteors a lot actually at that time. Not a lot, but talking in there. It was my first time
Nice.
playing WoW.
Nice. GottyBoy is here. GottyBoy, you've called in previously, yes?
Correct, yeah.
Remind me again where you're calling from?
I am calling from St. Cloud, Minnesota.
St. Cloud, Minnesota. What do you want to talk about on the show?
Yeah, so my take is that with major players like Sven, Alfari, Dardoch being benched, it's causing a problem not only for the teams, as we just talked about in that last call, but also for the viewership of the LCS. Personally, as a fan, I'm not as interested in watching the LCS when the big players aren't on the Rift. And one comparison that you could make is with the NBA, with the finals and playoffs. You want to see the big players on the court. And even though there can tend to be attitude issues with players, I prefer as a fan to see the better players on the Rift, regardless of those issues.
So, by the way, do you regard Dardoch in the same level that you do with Sven and Alfari? Because there were some people in the chat, I think, who were like, "Wow, Dardoch, you consider him you want to see him play as much as these guys?"
Well, when you look at a team like Dignitas, who would you say is the best player on the team? It's Dardoch, and personally, that's what I think, at least. And he's just definitely one of the more notable benchings that's happened. I wouldn't put him in the same tier as Sven and Alfari, but I'd still consider him one of the more fun players to watch in the league.
Gotcha.
I would
Alright,
say
well-
Afro Neo, but
Yeah, I feel like their bot lane's pretty good, but regardless,
I think their
Dardoch
bot
has
lane's
done a lot
not-
for the team. Yeah.
Not bad.
Okay, so for you, it's just like it's frustrating whenever you want to see these guys play and they're not playing. Do you watch less, GottyBoy? Or are you like you're not tuning in?
Honestly, I'm a big C9 fan, and when I saw that Sven was getting benched, and I'm not even trying to throw shade at King or Alfari, even like, or at Jenkins, sorry. It's just when the big players aren't on the Rift, I find it hard to get excited about matches, because the LCS broadcast team was trying to hype up like this mid lane matchup this weekend, and then players end up getting benched and or the lane swap or things like that. And it's just, you kind of get excited for these things and then you just kind of get let down. And there's just so many unknowns with all of these attitude issues that teams are claiming to have. And at the end of the day, I just want to see the good players on the Rift. I don't really care what's going on, because honestly, I feel like these teams that are benching their good players would be performing better if players like Sven and Alfari were in.
But do you okay? Let's say when, and by the way, this is not a thing that I've heard. I'm just using an example. Somebody punches a hole in the wall, because I know that has happened before at the LCS. Somebody gets angry. They're screaming in the back room. They punch a hole in the wall. Do you think that they should still field the player, or do you think even if perhaps it makes you a little bit more bummed? GottyBoy?
Sorry, did Mark have something to say there?
no, it was a stupid joke.
Okay, sorry. Obviously that's pretty extreme, and I know that did happen, but at the end of the day, like, there's going to be frustration, and I totally get that. But I also think it's on the coaching staff to keep players together, and there's so much. I heard a comment, that there's like almost too much infrastructure and like too many coaches, and it's really sad that in North America we have all of this infrastructure and we can't even keep players like 5 players attitudes together on a team, to be able to play together on a weekly basis. So that's kind of my problem with it, is that the coaching staff, it does come to a point where it's kind of sad that our infrastructure can't, solve those issues as well.
Yeah. I think so. Here's one thing before I unleash this to Ryoma and Mark. I kind of get what you're saying, and I do kind of agree it is a bit of an issue, because I mean, people who've listened to this and Rift Reaction, the show I do with Emily, I talk a lot about all these players that get rotated in and out of the LCS, and the big names like Doublelift and Bjergsen that retired. And so I think it is really not great for the league when you say, okay, well, like, who are our next players? And like Alfari was one of, like, I kind of considered them like the three big names coming over here was like Sword Art and Perks and Alfari joining the 3 big teams, right? The Pokemon starters. And like whenever he's not playing, that's not great. Sven, I think, a great personality, makes a lot of big statements, and then also backs it up often on the Rift. Him not playing is not great. And so I think I agree. It is hurting us in a year where we are missing a lot of great personalities from last year, whenever like a lot of the players that you would try to build up now or try to lean on more heavily, they get rotated out as well. So I'm a little less worried about Dardoch because I think he tends to just do way less content. Like I never see him really on the broadcast that much, and I know he doesn't really do like video interviews and that type of thing. But I think it is unfortunate. But I also don't know if like, look, I mean, if there are big issues going on with these players, and I know it's been kind of vague up till now, it's hard for me to say like, no, coaches, you can't bench this player because we need to keep the viewership up, you know?
Yeah, I totally get that.
Ryoma, what do you think?
I think this one is definitely tricky. I mean, as the viewer, for sure, I could see why it would suck not seeing like a big name, like not playing, I guess. But the way I guess I kind of see it is like, I think Jenkins was kind of performing in academy as well. Even King, like King was doing well. These guys were doing actually well. It's just like I think LCS is a big jump compared to academy. I think even for me, it was really like there is definitely a big jump. Like you can just feel it, and there's just a lot more pressure around it, and it can really get to you. But like, I mean, if you think where tactical came from, I guess like this guy, he kind of replaced double lift, right, and then he started piss smurfing LCS. Like it could be like the same story, you know, like that. I mean, I don't think it's like bad to do these changes. I just think, I mean, it's just it's kind of up to like the big name player, I guess you can call it, right? Like,
Yeah.
if it's attitude, I don't know if it is, right? Like, it could be anything. It could be big, like it could be way bigger than attitude, but you know, it's kind of up to them.
I like how you have P smurfing. It's for like, was that like your safe broadcast?
I'm sorry. I should have said smashing. Sorry.
It's just ingrained to be like, oh, gotta censor myself. No, but I think I mean, I think teams should always do what's best for them first and foremost on the Rift. That should be the only thing that you prioritize as like a coaching staff and stuff. But I also feel like teams and their social teams and the content teams and stuff should have different goals. And like you never want to exacerbate the issues that exist between you know, teammates, and you don't want to like air dirty laundry and all that stuff. But at the same time, like Sven could have been swallowed by the fucking abyss. I don't know what happened to this guy. You know, like has he tweeted? When's the last time he fucking tweeted? Well, let me go look at his Twitter right now. Like I haven't heard anything out of Sven.
There was this week on
May 12th. May fucking 12th. Over a month since this fucking guy, who is one of the biggest people in this scene, tweeted. You know, and I don't blame Sven for not tweeting necessarily. I'm not trying to target Sven, but I'm just saying, like, think about that. That, like, of course this sucks for the league, you know? And of course it sucks that we don't get any explanation as to why, and we don't know what's going on. And, like, you know, not only that, Sven was one of the people I'd say who had a great personality. He was honest. He was funny. He was a good balance of insightful while, you know, being engaging and stuff. Like, yeah, he's always been light on Twitter, but like he would usually after losses meme. At MSI, he was memeing after losses a little bit, you know, or I think he was at least. But like, you know, at the very least, he could be dead now. I don't even fucking know. Is he alive? Has anyone seen Sven?
He's
in
in
a month?
the academy.
He's a grinder. He's a grinder.
Yeah, you see him in solo queue,
Yeah.
or you see someone on his account pretending he's alive still. But yeah, that's my point. Is like it's not just like he got benched. You know, at least like with the Alfari thing, like thank God there was that little bit of drama to know that he still had a pulse. You know, I just like think from a fan perspective to see someone who you probably resonate with, who you find engaging, who you support, just go totally dark. And again, not saying it's Sven's fault, but like the org, I think, to keep people engaged should give him something.
Mark is trying to challenge the Alfari rumors by sparking a Reddit thread that's like, Mark Z speculates that Sven is dead and someone else is playing on his account as part of a Cloud9 conspiracy.
Seen him? Can anyone actually confirm you've seen him? It's so easy to fake. There's a bunch of talented players in the house that could be King playing on 2 accounts.
Oh my god.
At least like with the TL situation, right? You have the situation where, you know, Jat says this thing, people are kind of like, what is Jat talking about? Alfari responds, Thorin makes this video, and then, you know, Core JJ in the video today is like, I don't know where those rumors came from that Thorin was talking about. Like, it gives fans something to feel like there's a story there, and not just like this guy suddenly was like written out of existence.
I one of the things I really enjoyed was the Team Liquid subreddit this past weekend, or like maybe I think it was Friday. Steve had posted a picture of like a barbecue he'd done for Team Liquid, and there were like 30 people in the picture. Alfari's just in the back. You just see his face, and the Team Liquid subreddit is like, Alfari's at the Team Liquid barbecue. He's still alive. Like he's it seems like Steve's doing things to try to get him back to a good place. Like it's happening. You know, like they're just so desperate for for him that it's like an Alfari sighting has occurred. Everyone rally the forces. No, I think you make a really good point, Mark, and I think it's really unfortunate that this stuff is happening and that we don't know. And I actually think Cloud9 should be so happy that this Alfari stuff happened, because it just immediately took the focus off of the Sven stuff and stuck it on Team Liquid. But it's interesting, for sure. I mean, I watched the actually on the broadcast. Did you guys talk much about Sven or Alfari, Mark, or do you guys just like, it's time to talk about King and it's time to talk about Jenkins?
We did a little bit. I think we covered the Alfari like in chat conversation and like what happened. You know, I think we even threw in a meme or two about the whole plan this for months kind of thing.
Yeah.
But I mean, there's not much to work with. I think we said we tried to talk to the team about it, declined to comment kind of thing, and then we speculate more on like the dive and stuff, but there's not really room for it.
The reason I bring it up is just because like I feel like anytime Cloud9 is playing, I'm watching the Peter Media's Sneak Eco stream, and the Peter in particular, but other people are just like, bring Sven back, and then they meme and say actually they should bring back Sneaky. But it is funny to sort of see that conversation continue to exist, at least on the co-stream. So I don't know, Ryoma, what is happening with Alfari and Sven? What are clearly you're well connected in the scene. Twitch chat, all these people are here. You know all these people. You must know. Just let us all know what happened. Break it down moment by moment.
I wish I knew as well. These guys are, I mean, it's kind of shocking because I think they were arguably the best in their role. I think Alfari, you know, arguably. It's actually kind of weird to me. I still don't, I mean, it must be something big because their performance on the Rift is like pretty good, right? So
Yeah.
there must be a big trade-off to what's going on, but I'm not. I wish I knew.
Yep. Well, if you find out before the end of the show, please let us know. Feel free to start messaging all those people that were in the chat earlier. Clearly,
Fudge is still in here, no?
Wait, who is? Oh yeah, Contracts is in here. I
Yeah,
don't know, maybe
Fudge.
he's well connected. Yeah, hit up Fudge. Find out. Okay.
He was here earlier. Maybe he'll just say it in Twitch chat.
Yeah, maybe Fudge will just drop it in the chat.
He's
for
just
us.
gonna say nepotism again. Like that's his joke. Whenever we had him on the show, that's
Fudge
all
can
he
take a
said.
picture of Sven for us if Sven's still or like around the facility.
Yeah.
Just tweet out a picture to make sure he's alive.
GottyBoy, I don't know if we covered your topic well enough, but I think seems like we agree with you that it's not good for the league, and it's weird.
Yeah, no, I think you made some really good points, Mark, just about the situation. And obviously, we don't know enough, and that is kind of the biggest problem. But Travis, I kind of liked what you pointed out about the orgs not being very helpful in the situation either, and kind of keeping us in the dark. But
I mean, I think that was mostly Mark. Okay, I need to be on good terms with the orgs right now. I've been chasing after them a lot, but make sure everyone know that
their mouthpiece.
that was all. Yeah, exactly. That was all Mark. But GottyBoy, thank you so much for the call. Anything you want to shout out before we go to a quick break?
Yeah, absolutely. Shout out to Game Fuel, Alienware, Ryoma. Big respect to you, my man. You've been
Thank
through
you.
a lot. I respect that. And then Travis and Mark, of course, and all those fathers out there.
Thank you so much for the call. We'll catch you next time. All right. It's time to talk about Game Fuel. Speaking of Game Fuel, I love it when the caller shouts out our sponsors right before I have to go to a break. But thank you so much to Game Fuel for sponsoring the show. They just recently, I'm going to talk more about this in the future because they sold out of it. But congrats to Courage for his custom flavor sherbet selling out. But regardless, go do me a favor. Go over to gamefuel.com/Travis because that link works now. There should be a link in the description actually of the show as well if you're watching on YouTube. and check out Game Fuel and see. You can go look at my wonderful page. They've built out a page for me, which is fantastic. I am waiting to refill my giant fridge of Game Fuel, but whenever it comes in, it's going to look beautiful because I've ordered a variety of colors for aesthetic reasons, as well as my enjoyment of the beverage. Mark Zimmerman drinking one tonight, which I really appreciate. It's nice whenever he supports our show. But yeah, they're going to bring back the Courage's flavor on 6/24. So later this week, I will talk more about it in the next week's episode because I have a plan, a request for all of you to help me, a mission with this Courage flavor. But thank you so much to Game Fuel for sponsoring. You can use code Travis at checkout to save 5% off your order. And maybe I shouldn't be mentioning this because I think it's way easier for them to track that it came from me. But they tweeted today that they have some Prime Day deals going on over on Amazon around Game Fuel where it's you can save up to 30% on select products. So they have that link over on their page. But actually, you know what? If you click the Amazon link in the description, it will also allow you to view their products on Amazon. So maybe again, it's helpful when you buy on the site. But if you're looking for a deal, you can go check out their Prime Day deals on Amazon as well through that link. So thank you so much to Game Fuel for sponsoring the show. We love Game Fuel, and thank you to all of you who tweet at Game Fuel and let them know that you appreciate their sponsorship of the show. I saw some people trying it for the first time recently, and it's always cool to see. Anyway, that's our break. Mark is off to grab the next caller. Got 2 more callers left. Kyle0808 gifted a sub. Thank you, Kyle0808. I hope you see your name underneath the stream now, Kyle. I created a widget because there's so many generous gifters that I really appreciate them all hitting the gifting widget. It's very nice of them to do that. Hi, iAmZeGinger. Where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Korea.
From Korea.
wow.
Oh, you've called in before, right?
Yeah, I've been on a few times.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you for being a sub. What do you want to talk about on the show?
The team in the LCS, of course, CLG.
Oh, there we go. Okay, somebody in the chat earlier was like, wow, CLG's in the title of the show, but we haven't had a CLG take. All right, you're going to have a really positive CLG take, right? Ginger?
I'll give both of my takes. I have, of course, like the big fan take and then kind of the realistic, down-to-earth take.
Go for it. Yeah.
Obviously, 3-0 weekend, smashed the 100 Thieves. Sorry, Ryoma. They look really good, but I think the CLG fan inside of me is actually really worried. I think the main reason I'm worried is this 3-0 week. I think it's going to give them a little bit too much of a hope, and I don't want to see them moving back to more difficult to execute comps. I really like this full engaged comp style that they've been running, but I don't think it's something that they can have long-term success on. And I'd like to see them try to stick to it as much as possible, but I don't think we're going to be seeing CLG getting out of last place, unfortunately.
Interesting. Okay, so is that both your takes? Is that what you mean? Like you're happy, but then also skeptical?
Yeah, of course. I have to wake up at 4 a.m. to watch CLG games. So, of course, getting a 3-0 weekend, I'm super, super excited. But I don't think it's changed my expectations for the split.
Okay. Where do you think they'll finish?
I think they could at least, if Dardoch doesn't come back, I think maybe 9th, maybe 8th if, who's the other team? FlyQuest doesn't improve. So I say between 9th or 8th.
It's pretty low.
Yeah, I mean they're tied for 8th right now, so they're in the 8th and 9th position. So
Yeah, you don't think they're gonna catch anyone? They're only
It's pretty close.
I mean, who do they catch?
They can
don't think-
catch.
I think
Actually,
the
no.
Evil Geniuses game was really, really close, and I think it's still kind of because teams aren't really respecting CLG.
well, okay, if you think Dig is not going to bring back Dardoch and you don't think that that's likely, then they could finish 7th, right? Because you could see Golden Guardians, FlyQuest, Dig below them. Is that? I mean,
Yeah, I
is
can
that,
see that. Okay.
Yeah, it'll be like it'll be like 7th place.
yeah.
Yeah, I could go for 7th, but I don't think
Okay.
anything higher than that. And then I don't think they're going to get out of the first round of playoffs. They're
You don't
kind of
think
like
Immortals is this untouchable team three wins ahead of them?
I think they could beat them. I think the big worry for me comes for like playoffs, right? If they do get 7th or 8th place, I don't think they're gonna get out. It's like what they have to play like the low end of the playoffs, right? It's not double elimination for the first round.
Yeah, they're lower bracket.
Okay. So I think that they don't get out of that because they look like kind of a one-dimensional team right now, and I think that just doesn't grant any wins in a best of 5.
Oh boy, it's so weird. This is like Mark. Have you noticed this trend? I think throughout all the years we've done this, like right before summer split, when there's not a reason to have hope for CLG, we get a caller that goes, "CLG's coming back. It's gonna be amazing. Everything's great." Blah blah blah. Then now that they're starting to pop off, we get a CLG fan who's like, "Yo, this shit is not reliable. Do not trust it. Do not believe it. It's not going to continue." It's just it's the duality, I guess, of being a CLG fan.
I guess so. I mean, I'm a little bit on board with I'm not sold yet. The first 2 comps, I was like, okay, I think EG messed up and should have banned the Galio. I thought they should have banned that before they did that game, but they only banned the Callista from it, and then they got ran over. And, it's like the Galio gives you pretty good roaming and priority in mid lane to help like get off the ground and make plays and stuff like that. And then the next game, Galio gets banned. I'm like, oh, okay, we get to see like what's their second pick here. And they fucking take Lissandra into Karma. And I was like, bro, didn't you just self-counter yourself like really hard? And Ryoma can tell me, he's a mid laner, like, that's just not a good pick.
I would prefer to bend the Karma side. I mean, they just really, you're just really forcing it at that point. I mean, that's why I guess I can kind of see why, and like, you'd be scared in playoffs, I guess, if they would have to play. Just because it'd be pretty predictable and they'd put themselves in disadvantageous positions. But, I mean, it's just playstyle.
Yeah, I think that game was against an exploding Dignitas, so like it wasn't the best. Like, okay, Fake God died level 1, lost his flash, and then just got chain ganked, and that kind of felt like how they got through what should have been like a really sketchy early game. Because otherwise, Lissandra just was under turret the entire game, and like you would be worried about that spilling into jungle or like around the map and stuff. So I wasn't super convinced on the third game, even though they won it. So I'm a little bit with the caller, as much as I was pressing him there to predict CLG higher. I don't know what it looked like to Ryoma, if he's bought in or if it's just a press.
Where do you think CLG is going to finish, Ryoma? We were just looking at the standings.
I kind of agree. I mean, I don't think there'll be a good playoffs team. I just think there's too many, I guess, holes. But I do think they're not playing like terrible. It's just they're just doing what they think is best, and it's kind of reasonable. But I don't think they'll like end up beating a team like Immortals in like a best of 5 or anything. Like.
Where do you think they'll finish in the standings?
Probably like 8.
8?
I'd give them an 8. Yes.
You don't even let them slide up to 7th?
If Dardoch, actually yes, if Dardoch doesn't return, 7th or 8. Yes, it'll probably be 7th. If Dardoch returns, it'll be an 8.
Okay.
Because I don't think they can catch up to EG or I don't think they can catch up to EG.
I will say, as a CLG fan, I think next week is kind of a big moment for my faith in the team, because we played Liquid and Cloud9, but I don't know the other team we play. But I think how they do in those games will kind of influence my opinion on how we do the rest of the split.
Okay, so Tafo,
C9.
who is the CLG GM, he's in chat right now, and he says, isn't every team also playing terribly right now? How is it just a CLG specific issue when even C9 is struggling to figure things out? Mark, Ryoma, Tafo is challenging you.
Yeah, I don't agree that every team's playing terribly right now. And even within that, CLG was 0-3 the week before, and
1-2 last week.
Yeah, they were 1-2 last week and 0-3 for the week before. So they were 1-5, and then they pull out a comp that rips off 2 wins, and then the third one, like I already said. So like, yeah, I mean, I'm saying, is it somewhere between 1-5 and 3-0? Like, yeah, you barely lost to C9, but you still lost. That's the whole point. The CLG was struggling to close games out, so they picked a face roll comp, right? Is that not the read that the cohesion in mid to late game wasn't great, so that's how you lost to C9. So then you pick a comp that auto wins team fights as long as you don't fall behind. And then people are saying, so what's going to happen when you lose the ability to pick the auto win team comp? You go back to losing mid to late game to these other teams that are struggling and not playing well. Like C9's not playing well. They only beat TL as the other top teams that they beat. TL hasn't beaten a single other team that's in the top 5. I agree that a lot of these teams aren't playing well, and CLG lost to some of them, which was the concern.
Here you go, Tafo.
So
now you can you can go prove
what I'll say. Well, what was that noise?
A beep. I had a beep as well.
Yeah, I don't know. Anyways, the point is, I would say Brox is actually just playing really fucking good. Like the entire time, I actually think Broxa has been incredible. And so I think that's one of the nice things about. Oh, Travis has his fire alarm going off. Kobe burns something apparently. Broxa is a beast, and I think one of the nice things about this team fight team comp is that you can. Like Broxa can still win you an early game when a lot of times that these picks sometimes come at laning disadvantages. But yeah, I mean, how is that much different than someone playing a meta OP? Well, like take 100 Thieves, they played like 4 different comps and have looked good with a bunch of them. I mean, I don't have a problem if people have like if this is the comp that they're always going to win with. I'm down. Like keep running it. Like yeah, go for it. The same way I think TSM should mostly play scaling mages. I hate every time TSM's like, but what if we tried Viego or Lucian? And I'm like, that's just not what you do well. You know, like I think it's totally cool to have a strategy. I think if you can find more things that are going to substitute in for the Galio, which is what my concern is. It gets banned out. You pick Lissandra into Karma. I'm like, that looks fucking yikes versus a team that didn't literally just bench its jungler in the middle of the week and is 1-6 or whatever they were in their last games heading into that matchup. Like, I think Dignitas is arguably one of the worst teams in the league right now. So like, yeah, I want to see more. Sorry, I didn't jump on the bandwagon as soon as you guys went 3-0.
Okay. We're all good.
No, I'm just saying. You know, he's saying, why aren't you believing in us? I'm saying, you played one comp and then beat a bad team. Like, okay, let's see more.
You need a bigger sample size.
Tafo and Mark will keep going back and forth all night long, and so they can take it to Twitter.
I don't know. It's fun. It's a more fun conversation than some other things.
You know, I appreciate it. I think it's good.
Zen can't play the game. Well, Karma makes it so Lissandra can't play the game. Lissandra goes in, and she should empowered shield the entire team.
Karma's in there, guys. It should not be balanced.
Yeah.
Good news.
I really don't want to play against that.
Yeah.
Good news, by the way. It appears that my home is not going to burn down. So, sorry about the fire alarm going off, everybody. I don't know what that was. iAmZeGinger. It seems like there's an agreement that there should be skepticism for CLG. I will say this: I am very happy that Broxa got Player of the Week. The interview that I did with him the week before was like crushing, and so, you know, even if we're not. Even if we're skeptical for them long term, I'm happy that he's showing up and doing stuff. So, but iAmZeGinger, thank you so much for the call. Is there anything you want to shout out before we go on to our final caller?
Yeah, I think just on that last point you made, like I think as a CLG fan, the 3-0 is nice, but the best part about the weekend is just like seeing everyone happy. So shout out to the CLG guys because they played their hearts out this weekend. So hope to see them keep going. 3-0 week next week. Let's go.
So this is a little bit unrelated, but I'm still gonna go in on it. It's someone asking, did you have a sponsor read, Travis?
No, we the fire alarm went off again. So I'm just whenever that happens, I will just mute and put my hand up because I don't want the beeping to go through. But yeah, it's fun. Anyway, sorry. Go ahead, Mark.
So someone asked, they said, I'm not a mid laner. Like, why is Lissandra bad into Karma? And so Ryoma can answer that, but I also have my own thoughts too. So I don't know if you want to start, Ryoma, about what specifically about the matchup makes you favor the Karma side.
I think trades in general, it should be really hard for Lissandra to hit majority of her spells. Like, if you just think about it. Like, sure, you can get some ganks off, but for me especially, I feel like if you're getting pushed in as Lissandra, it kind of blows. Like, you kind of want to be moving around the map, working with your jungler, right? And I feel like Karma's in Zhao should have a stronger 2v2 because, at least for me, I think it's like one of the strongest champs that you can pick right now as a duo. And yeah, I mean, I think that's majority of my take on it. You can't really catch up to like your Q is not in range of her majority of her spells. Plus, yeah, her mantra negates all of her power.
Yeah, I think your Q is always going to outshove Lissandra Q if you're just both pushing, and so then you can go around and combo with your jungler to go for invades and stuff and hold down the enemy jungler, or just like make roams to other parts of the map. Lissandra can TP follow, so it's not like she can't do anything, but she's just going to be behind the play most of the time. And then to your point with the mantra, like the time that Yasui died in this game, he actually didn't have his mantra up. It's like a second away from coming in. But normally, if you try to go in with the Lissandra onto the Karma, is you just like match your W, E, and run away. And you heal, you root them, and your shield is usually enough to survive. And at best, you usually get a flash, and you just keep going back to like pushing in. And then in team fights, it's a similar thing where, you know, Lissandra generally wants to lock someone down and kill them, but then Lissandra or Karma just goes like mantra shield on that person and negates a lot of the AoE, because Lissandra's actual damage is kind of low.
Yeah, it's very low. If you don't one-shot someone before the fight, I mean, when you're engaging as Lissandra, it's kind of like you're just gonna be stuck in there trying to get out, especially against a Karma who can, or she can actually always build Mikhails as well, so like it's even worse.
That's true too. Is that your build path on Karma's hella cheap.
All right.
Anyways,
well, I hope the fire alarm is
an actual educational moment about the game on this show. First time in forever.
Well, that's what's so nice about having all these pro players on. Apologies if the alarm goes off. I will just mute again. It seems to be going off randomly. Also, huge shout out to Kyle 008 for gifting 42 subs in the chat. Huge drop. How much does that bring him up to? 950 lifetime. So, my God, really appreciate it, Kyle. Thank you. That's insane. All right, Mark, you want to go grab our last caller?
Yeah.
Right, off he goes. Ryoma, if I mute and then put my hand up like this, it's your time to fill, because I'll just be muted while the alarm goes, and then but we can't have any dead air, because especially some people listen to this as like a podcast, and then if it just goes completely silent, then they think that something has malfunctioned. So, BT is here. BT, where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Winston-Salem, North Carolina.
You've been on before, yes?
Yeah, I was on last split.
What do you want to talk about on the show?
I think Jenkins is a top 3 top laner in the LCS. So he's first in damage per minute, and second in gold differential and CS differential at 10, as well as third in KDA, and he's also tied for third in solo kills with 4, with the most being 5, while also being second to last in deaths. And he's also had that hard carry game versus IMT, where even in the squad video, one of the people on the team admitted that he pulled back a lost game and basically 1v9'd it. And he's doing all this while being weak side. While he gets some draft resources, he has the least gold percentage of any top laner. So he's managing to be top 3 in all those statistics while being the least gold percentage on his for a top laner in his team.
Spawn, I just have to say your American accent is very impressive. I did not anticipate how well your accent could be. No, anyway, sorry, Mark, what you were going to say?
He's also second to last in jungle proximity for top lane. He's at 6.5%, and the next closest is Revenge at 8.6. So just a little extra nugget that it's not a stat on Oracle's Elixir, because it's a Riot only stat. But there you go, another point in Jenkins' favor.
Ryoma, is Jenkins a top 3 top laner in the LCS?
I don't know if he's actually been getting a lot of shit, but I think he's pretty good. I think from laning phase wise, I think he looks like he knows what he's trying to do. I guess it's more about, you know, his intention in lane. I guess like what he's looking for, what trades he's looking for. I guess I can kind of see the angles he's looking for, but top 3, I don't know if we'll cut it enough, because I think the top laners are pretty good.
Who are the other ones? Who would be in front of him?
I'd say someday Fudge, Huni, and Impact. I just looked at it. I think Finn is actually
fifth. He's middle
not
of the pack.
bad as well, but that's just my opinion.
Yeah, I think. What were you say, Travis?
No, go for it.
I'm kind of in the Ryoma camp. for sure. Like, I think he's good, and I think people are tunneling on like the where's Impact, or I mean, where's Alfari a little bit too much when I think there's other problems with Team Liquid right now. But he's pretty good. I mean, I think his champ pools looked like small but purposeful. Like we're playing GP a bunch because we think it's the best matchup into Gwen. You can actually contest level 1 and like do well, and then it scales well. And he's played a Kali, but I've been largely impressed by him. I still think other players are better, like the ones that you were listing. You can even throw in like, well, what about Solo? Is it just that he's on Golden Guardians? Like if you put Solo on Team Liquid, are they better? You start getting into those kinds of conversations as well. But at the very least, like Jenkins has, of the kind of last minute substitutions, I think you could say that he's looked better than a lot of the other people who have come in. Like I'm more impressed with him than King, Yusui, a lot of these substitutions.
I mean, I think what's also just crazy is that up until recently, very recently, I think he was double timing it, right, in Academy and in LCS, and so very tough situation.
I think he did a week of it, yeah.
I think he did 2, but maybe I'm wrong.
Well, I mean, the first week he was called up.
Oh yeah, you're right. Well, what do you have to say, caller? Because it sounds like Ryoma thinks you're full of shit, and I think that was the exact wording he used. He said, "What the hell, Jenkins? Not even in the top 4."
Who's your top 5 then? You tell me who your top 5 is.
BT.
Out of your top laners.
My top 5 was the same as yours. I would think it's probably Someday and Huni at the top 2, and then Jenkins. And then I think Impact has been performing kind of poorly this split. But I also think Finn is up there too, with kind of competing for that 3rd spot.
Do you have any other rebuttals, BT?
No.
You'll let the stats speak for themselves. I appreciate that, BT. Thank you so much. Is there anything you want to shout out before we say goodbye and close out the show?
Shout out to Alienware, calling from my Alienware desktop. And
nice.
Game Fuel.
Thank you so much for the call. Really appreciate it, and we'll catch you next time.
Thank you.
All right, that is the show.
No fudge.
What'd you say?
There was no fudge in his top 5.
It's true.
Sad.
It's true. It's true. Well, Fudge is not here to defend himself, so I have no pity for him. My home is hopefully not burning down, but I feel like we should probably wrap up the show. So, Ryoma, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
Mark, what do you want to plug, shout out? Nothing.
You already know, so why do you need me? You're right.
Ryoma, what do you want to plug or shout out?
Just shout out to my friends, just people who are supporting me. Talk to them every day. My besties. That's about it.
Well, I appreciate you coming on, and it's close. Where can people find you? Do you stream at all, Ryoma?
Haven't been streaming. Honestly, I've let off social media just because there's still a lot of heat for me, but I'm getting back into it, easing back into it slowly. But yeah, just focusing more on my academy season more.
Nice. Well, glad to hear it. I'm sure people can find your social channels, and whenever you're ready, you can start engaging with them again. But I appreciate you making the time to come on the show. I really do appreciate it. So for me, Rift Reaction, again, with Emily. We're recording tomorrow, so we'll talk about some stuff I'm sure she'll give. And we talk about things that are not just LCS on that. So if you do want to hear LEC stuff, etc. I'm also doing an interview with the commissioner of the LEC tomorrow, which will be interesting. And then sometime this week, I'll be dropping a fairly long Sword Art interview that I conducted last week, not during the LCS, but something else that I was able to carve out with TSM. So there's a lot of content hitting. And I don't think we had any callers or any takes about the Academy stuff, but Tim suggested doing the idea of looking at the success rate of Academy over the years and what players have come out of it and sort of how it functions and all that stuff in the current system. So that'll be this week's Run It. So thank you so much, Ryoma and Mark, for the show. That's fantastic to be here with both of you. And this has been Hotline League. We'll catch you next week.